On the following evening, Scheherazade told King Shahryar that this night would extinguish the fire of his curiosity, and at last, she would reveal to him the end of Salamah's tale. And so she continued her story.
It has reached me, O fortunate king, of sound judgment and noble mind, that Salamah entered the palace with his mother, and as he gazed from its balconies, he found no building nor palace greater than his own. But on the other side of the city, King Canaan awoke the next morning and beheld from afar a mighty palace, built upon colossal pillars, surpassing all the palaces of the world. He marveled greatly and wondered still more when he saw no guards at his own gates. So he commanded the presence of the commander of the guard. The commander of the guard entered before him, trembling, and bowed low. The king cried out at him, saying, "Where are the guards of the palace, O commander? And what is this lofty edifice that hath arisen on the other side of the city?" The commander replied that he had dispatched a company from the camp to bring tidings from there, but none of them had returned. Then he sent forth the strongest of the guards to discover what had befallen them, and the secret of that palace, but they too returned not. And but a few moments passed, when a guard came hastily to inform the king that at the gate there stood a stranger seeking permission to enter, bearing with him a message of great import. So the king commanded that he be admitted. The man entered, bowed before the king, and said that he carried a mighty secret that could not be spoken in the presence of others. The king ordered all who were present to depart, and the door was shut. The man drew nearer and revealed himself. And lo, it was Salem, the brother of Salamah. He told the king the secret of his brother, that he possessed the sword of Sultan Shamardal and the ring of Solomon, by which the jinn were enslaved to him. The king was stricken with fear at what he heard and said, "I shall command my army to tear down that palace." But Salem answered, "That shall avail thee naught. Did not the commander of the guard tell thee that thy soldiers never returned since the morning? This is because the palace is under the protection of an army of jinn. Whosoever dares approach shall suffer grievous harm. Nay, by the will of the jinn, thy kingdom itself may be destroyed in but a moment, without battle nor war. Yet if thou desire cunning and stratagem, and wilt promise me reward and high station, I shall guide thee to that which shall deliver thee from Salamah the accursed." The king agreed, and promised him that he would appoint him commander in his realm. Then Salem said, "Draw near to Salamah, and bid him to a great banquet. Place within his dish of honey that which shall bring him to slumber. When he sleeps, seize from him his sword and his ring. Thus shalt thou be safe from his treachery. Thy heart shall be at ease, and I shall become commander in thy kingdom." And so it was. King Canaan invited Salamah to his palace, showered him with foods and gifts, and commanded the maidens to serve him honey. Salamah ate thereof, and within moments felt dizziness and fell asleep. The king carried out what had been plotted, seizing from him the sword and the ring, and thus took away the secret of his strength. Salamah started up in terror, crying out in disbelief, and shouted at his brother, "Thou, Salem, why betray me?" But Salem smiled a cunning smile, and the king said mockingly, "The possession of these sorceries in thy hand threatened me, and now they are stripped away." Salem urged the king to slay Salamah, but the king replied, "Now that his strength is taken, there is no fear from him." Salamah was struck with grief at hearing this from his own brother, but Salem's heart showed no pity. He cared only for the reward the king had promised him. The king laughed at Salamah and said, "Surely." Then he seized the ring, rubbed it, and behold, the obedient genie appeared, saying, "At thy service, at thy command, all that thou desirest is before thee." The king said, "I desire that thou transform Salem this very hour into a dog, that he may learn to be loyal to his brother, which he failed to be as a man." Salem was struck dumb by the treachery of the king, and before he could utter a word, the genie had fulfilled the command of his new master. Thus, Salem was turned into a dog. Yet the wonder was that Salamah wept bitterly and grieved for his brother. Despite his betrayal and repeated theft, the king said to him, "Grieve not for thy brother. He was a traitor and a deceiver. This dog shall be more useful and faithful to thee than ever he was." Then he granted Salamah safe passage, commanding him to live henceforth by the labor of his own hand. So Salamah departed, leading by a leash a barking dog who but yesterday was his brother. And when the mighty Marid of the Jinn heard this tale from Salamah, astonishment overcame him. And he said, "O Salamah, thou hast slain my son, and though it was without intent, God hath forgiven thee. If thou wilt, I shall be thy servant, and I shall restore to thee the sword and the ring." But Salamah replied, "I desire not but to break the spell upon my brother and restore him to his human form." The Jinni said, "Thy brother cannot be restored to the nature of man unless thou possess again the ring and command its servant to break the enchantment." Salamah answered, "But I know not how to reach King Canaan, nor how to enter his palace amidst his guards." The Jinni gave him counsel, saying, "Thou shalt go disguised as a physician, crying beneath the window of the palace, 'A healer of ills, a physician who cures. Perchance one shall call thee in, and thus shalt thou gain entry." So Salamah disguised himself and did as the king of the Jinn had counseled. And it came to pass as foretold. Salamah, in the guise of a physician, was called into the palace of Canaan, for the king was stricken with illness, and none of the physicians could cure him. Salamah entered where King Canaan lay upon his couch. As he drew near, the king opened his eyes and said, "Art thou Salamah? Thou hast come in time, my son. I wronged thee, and what I took profited me not. Lo, the end hath come, which I knew not from the beginning. Stretch forth thy hand, take the sword and the ring, and forgive me." But Salamah replied steadfastly, "I desire not the sword nor the ring, O Canaan. I have come only to break the spell upon my brother and restore him again to man." The king wept and said, "Art thou still concerned for thy treacherous brother?" Salamah answered, "Whatever he be, he is my brother, the son of my mother and my father. Had I not wished to restore him to man, I would not have come to thee now." Then Salamah seized the ring and rubbed it for the last time. The Jinni appeared, and Salamah commanded him to return his brother to his human form. The Jinni obeyed and said, "Dost thou command aught else, O Master Salamah?" He answered, "Yes, O Jinni, I command thee one last command, that thou renounce the service of this ring and strip from it the power of the Jinn." The king Canaan and even the Jinni himself were astonished, saying, "Art thou certain of this command, O Salamah, son of Salam? If thou dost so, I shall appear no more to thee, nor to any man, and this ring shall lose all worth." But Salamah answered firmly, "Do it, O Jinni, this is my command." The Jinni said, "Hearing and obedience, my lord, at thy service, at thy command. For the last time, close thine eyes." Salamah closed them, and when he opened them again, he rubbed the ring, but nothing appeared. Then he knew that he had cast away a mighty power, which might have been used for good, yet might also have fallen into unworthy hands. He gazed upon the ring with tears and said, "Praise be to God."
And Scheherazade concluded her tale, and that was the end of the wondrous story, O my king. And King Shahryar answered her, "What a tale, worthy to be written in letters of gold."